WCBI News at 6 starts now.
Good evening, everyone. For the second time, a Pontotoc County grand jury declines to indict the driver of a car that struck and killed a 7-year-old as she was getting off a school bus.
WCBI's Allie Martin talked with the young girl's family and tells us what legal options they may pursue after this latest decision.
For the second time in less than a year, it's a decision that shocks the family of 7-year-old Amaya Braxton.
It's just not fair.
Last week, a grand jury heard evidence, including new eyewitness testimony in the case that has stirred strong emotions. It was October 4th, 2016, when Amaya Braxton was struck and killed as she was getting off of her school bus in front of her home. Last September, a grand jury declined to indict the driver. The Braxton family started a petition drive, collecting more than 2,600 signatures, asking District Attorney John Weddle to represent the case to another grand jury. The petition also cited Nathan's Law, which makes it a misdemeanor to pass a stopped school bus and could upgrade charges to a felony if anyone is injured or killed. Amaya's mother and father say the decision is tough, especially explaining the outcome for a second time to Amaya's brothers. They did thank the DA for representing the case.
We've always taught them to obey the law and obey rules. And how do I explain to an 11-year-old that I tell him he can't do something, and the law told this lady that she couldn't do something, and she done it anyway and got away with it?
After talking to him this time compared to the first time, the things that we heard, it was like it was more sincere. It was more like they put forth more effort this second go round.
In a statement released after meeting with the Braxton family, District Attorney John Weddle said, "I would like to sincerely thank the Braxton family for meeting with us after the last grand jury. Cases such as this are heartbreaking. Our prayers are continually with the Braxton family in the loss of Amaya. The correct legal process has been followed, and we must respect their decision." Family members have several options, including asking the Attorney General's office to intervene, hiring a private investigator to look at the case, and turning those findings over to a circuit judge, and petitioning for a special prosecutor, or asking law enforcement to arrest the driver, charging her with a misdemeanor. In Pontotoc, I'm Allie Martin, WCBI News.
The family is preparing to file a civil lawsuit against the driver.
A familiar face places an unsuspecting Aberdeen man in the middle of a crossfire. The alleged shooter, 23-year-old Miles Tavares Perkins, was arrested January 5th on one count of drive-by shooting. Monroe County Sheriff Cecil Cantrell says Perkins saw a man at a convenience store resembling someone he intended to shoot. Perkins reportedly followed the man onto Highway 382, eventually pulling beside him and shooting at the vehicle. The victim was not injured.
The new leader of the Columbus Police Department is sworn in today and is ready to embark on his new role as chief.
Our Scott Martin joins us live with a look at Chief Fred Shelton's vision. Scott?
Joy and Andrea, there are 3 words you're going to hear a lot of from the new chief. They are effective, efficient, and proactive. And with those words in mind, Chief Shelton says he's sure the department will get where it needs to be. Police Chief Fred Shelton's career in blue began 34 years ago, leading up to this very moment.
Congratulations, and we look forward to working with you.
I'm in a position where I can do some things that will make this department positive and make this community better.
By doing that, Shelton says it starts with the foundation the department has and built up. One key element is realizing as an officer, you're a service to the people.
The city is our customers, and we want to meet our customers' expectations as well as exceed their expectations in some areas.
Shelton's open door policy allows citizens to pay the chief a visit and express their concerns. Building strong relationships between officers and the community, Shelton says, is vital to having a strong police force.
It's one thing to come in as the head of an agency and tell people what you're going to do, but then it takes a good leader to listen to what the people, the stakeholders in the community are saying, and what they expect from the police department.
CPD has been under a lot of scrutiny the last year. You may remember a consultant being called in to evaluate the department. Community policing was one of the recommendations made by the consultant, something the longtime lawman wants to push even more within the department.
I can implement that and they'll be a good fit for this city.
Another target for the chief is implementing proactive policing. In light of recent shootings, Shelton says he has programs in mind that will help troubled youth.
It's going to be a combination of enforcing the law as well as doing community programs, mentorship programs, job training programs, and things to help our youth.
The support from council and the people in the friendly city is something Chief Shelton says he doesn't take lightly.
I'm going to take advantage of that by taking and using it positive to build up the department and to make this community safer.
Congratulations, and we look forward.
Community involvement is the big key here, Shelton says. Another element he's trying to do is to get officers at full staff at 70 and keeping those officers here on staff. Reporting live in Columbus, Scott Martin, WCBI News.
Columbus will soon start searching for an assistant police chief. The Human Resources Department is preparing an advertisement for the position. Officers from within the department will also be allowed to apply. Police Chief Fred Shelton hopes a hire can be made sometime next month. Time now to turn things over to Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson. He has a first look at your forecast. Keith?
Joey, right now a live look in downtown Columbus shows the low clouds we have in place. Temperatures currently in the 40s. We've been hanging out there for the last couple of hours, really all afternoon. Some steadier rain just southeast of Columbus, southeastern parts of Noxubee County over into southern Pickens County, Alabama. That's really the last big batch. Most of that now moving away, but there will still be some residual patches of drizzle later on this evening. Temperatures will bottom out down into the low 40s, so just a few more degrees. Fairly steady tonight. Your full forecast in just a few minutes.
Mississippi University for Women will soon start looking for a new president. Dr. Jim Borsig announced he is stepping down at this morning's spring faculty and staff convocation. He was hired in 2011. Borsig's tenure saw the return of athletics and improved relations with alumni and the community. Borsig told staff he's not retiring, but refocusing and ready to do other things.
There's a nonprofit here in Columbus that my wife has been involved with them for over a decade, and I have over the last few years, and I look forward to doing more work with Global Connections. And it does work in Africa and in other parts of the world, and so I'm looking forward to being able to do that.
Borsig says he and his wife will make their new home in Maine and will maintain their connection to Columbus through their growing work with Global Connections. Many faculty and staff were shocked by the announcement, but Borsig's example has left them with high expectations for his successor.
We are hoping for somebody who will be transparent, easy to talk to, approachable for both faculty, staff, students all across the board, and somebody who is looking out for the good of the university to continue driving it into the 21st century.
The Institutions of Higher Learning has not started the process of searching for Borsig's successor. His last day will be June 30th.
The Tennessee Valley Authority wants the public's opinion before making a powerful move. The power provider is planning upgrades to its transmission lines that will include over 10 miles of new high-voltage line to the industrial megasite near Golden Triangle Regional Airport. TVA will host an open house January 18th at the Lowndes County School District's central office on Highway 45 South. Economic development leaders say the expansion will give the area an advantage in drawing new industry.
This will give the Golden Triangle Aerospace Park a fifth 161 feed, which is in our business unheard of. It will make this whole area more redundant, more reliable, and it'll give us the access to serve some very, very power-intensive companies out there.
This public input session will run from 3 to 7 p.m. TVA representatives will be there to answer questions. A furniture factory fire in Ecklew Friday could have been much worse.
When we come back, we find out what a special tool firefighters had on their side.
WCBI News at 6 with Andrea Self. and Joey Barnes.
Welcome back, everyone. American Furniture is still working through the rubble after that fire Friday morning. This is the second time a major fire has broken out at the manufacturing plant there in Ecru.
Pontotoc Fire Chief Lance Martin worked both blazes. Our Quentin Smith has been following this story. He joins us live in the studio with more. Quentin?
Yeah, Joey, the first fire happened at American Furniture 10 years ago. Now, Chief Martin was a captain then and says things he and his crew learned during that fire helped them put out Friday's large blaze in a timely manner without any injuries. Just as the sun was rising Friday morning, so were these huge clouds of black smoke. Fire crews spent most of the day battling this large blaze at American Furniture Manufacturing in Ecru.
When I arrived on scene, because it was just in my mind, I said, no one is going to the hospital today. Everybody's going to come home. We're going to get way ahead of this thing.
Pontotoc Fire Chief Lance Martin says as his department began fighting the massive fire, they were confident because they had one important thing on their side: experience.
My staff got together a plan, they executed it to perfection, and it kept it out of what they call their kit building, and I do believe they're going to be up and operating today, as early as today, if not tomorrow, possibly.
A decade ago, Martin and most of his current crew battled another blaze at the manufacturing plant.
Myself and 5 others were caught in what we call a flashover collapse, and we were doing a lot of the same operation we were trying to do this year. We didn't have large enough hose lines and not enough manpower inside that to get it done. We were trying to shut some fire doors, and the building began to collapse, and it just sent a giant, basically, wall of fire our direction, and we had to evacuate immediately.
The fire chief says some of the biggest lessons they learned from that fire were knowing how to approach a fire of this magnitude, knowing all of the resources needed to put out the blaze, and how to quickly get them on scene.
The biggest thing is the water supply, getting that there in a timely manner, in which it did.
The fire was completely put out by late Friday afternoon, and no injuries were reported.
I've always said it, my staff make me look good. They put together a plan, they executed it. Minimal orders were given out. You always knew. I was only a couple times where I worried about, okay, are some guys really getting a little bit too aggressive here with this? And no, they wouldn't. They showed me they knew exactly what they're doing.
American Furniture says Plant 2 will resume normal operations tomorrow morning.
Right now in Tupelo, we are 45 degrees. We are overcast. We've had some rain out there today. Tomorrow we will flip around those digits. 54 should get back to the 50s. On Tuesday, still a lot of cloud cover. The forecast is next.
Your first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
All right, so far this year, Tupelo, no time spent at 50 degrees or warmer. Columbus, you've had 3 hours. Today we stay below 50. Tomorrow we should get above 50 in all spots. So it's been a chilly start to 2018. We're going to go with 54 tomorrow, 62 Wednesday, 67 on Thursday. Notice how, for the most part, a lot of cloud cover around here. Low and rain chances in the near term, a better opportunity for some rain again as we get into Thursday. Here's our Alpha Insurance time lapse from Vernon, Alabama at Durham's Pharmacy. You can see these low clouds, pretty persistent all day long. We had some widespread rain yesterday evening and this morning. That rain has gradually tapered off, but we still have a little bit of light to moderate rain southeast of Macon, near Scuba, over here to near Aliceville and Tuscaloosa. Farther east towards Birmingham and even into metro Atlanta, you can see this big-time rain shield moving away. There are a lot of low clouds back to the west, and we will stay with those low clouds, it looks like, for tonight, tomorrow, and really the next couple of days here. The next system of interest way out here, west of California, there's Los Angeles there. So out there in the Pacific, a long ways away from us right now, but that energy will come across the Rockies, get down here into the Midwest and the Deep South as we get into Thursday and Friday. So that will be our next chance for some showers. 40s right now, mid-40s across our region. A few degrees cooler later on tonight, low 40s. A little bit of mist, some patchy drizzle possible during the night. So widespread low to mid-40s out there, perhaps a little bit cooler in some spots. Here's our planner for Tuesday, 40s, then some low to mid-50s, a wind from the east and northeast at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. So widespread low to mid-50s out there for our Tuesday. Even with the cloud cover, it should be a few degrees warmer than what we had out there today. We'll hope for the best, right? You can see these this big area of low clouds, all that big gray mass right there, that is what we will have to contend with tomorrow and Wednesday. There could be a few isolated showers from time to time. The next system right there for Thursday, rain chances go up Thursday afternoon, continuing to Friday morning. Now, on the back side of it, it could be just cold enough to support a little bit of frozen precipitation, maybe a little bit of snow there somewhere here across North Mississippi or West Tennessee sometime Friday. We're keeping that out of the forecast. But it's something we're monitoring here. For the next couple of days, so mild relative to last week, 50s and 60s. It will be cooler, but sunnier, 30s, though, for this weekend.
The college football season comes to a close tonight, and a new national champion will be crowned. Will it be the Tide or the Dogs? Who you with? Sports is next.
WCDI Sports with Tom Ebel is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Go further.
It all comes down to this. The college football season comes to a close with the heavyweight SEC title match between Alabama and Georgia. Back at SEC Media Days, this was predicted to be the SEC championship. Well, it's a little bit bigger, I'd say. The Tide go into Atlanta as 4-point favorites against the de facto home team from Athens. Two different storylines for each team tonight. Alabama looking for its 5th national title in 9 years and for redemption after last year's loss. And for Georgia, hoping to end a 38-year drought for titles with the last championship coming back in 1980 thanks to Herschel Walker. Here's what players on both sides had to say on what this title means for them.
Yeah, I think my whole team definitely had a chip on their shoulder when everybody was saying that we don't belong here, we shouldn't be in the playoffs and stuff like that, and everybody was trying to find reasons for us not to be here. So we just had to really prove to them why we do belong here.
I think everything happens for a reason. I think it's well off earned. We earned it. Everybody put a lot of work in this off season. We made the decision that we were going to do anything and everything to get the opportunity again, and here it is. So we got to do what we got to do to take advantage of it.
A lot of times you hear coaches say, act like you've been here before. And, we've had the blessing of being here before, so we know what to expect in games like this. We know what it's going to take, and, it's just about if we're willing to do it.
We knew it was going to be a journey, a long journey for us. Ultimately, this was our goal, to get to the national championship. We're here. We're trying to take full advantage of it. At the end of the day, we got to finish. We got to finish what we started.
There'll be the ice on the top of the cake. Just finish the season off with a championship win, because we've done so much good things this year. And I mean, you couldn't ask for a better finish.
Being in this position that we're in, we grinded all year for this since last offseason in January, day in, day out, winter conditioning, spring practices, summer training, fall camp, and throughout the season. So it's pretty special just to know everything that we've been through and whatnot, to get to this point. And this was the dream, but it was just one step at a time.
Here's the detail for tonight's national championship. Just over a half an hour before kickoff, 7 p.m. on ESPN. Alabama leads the all-time series and has won the last 3 meetings between the Roll Tide and UGA, the most recent coming 38-10 win in 2015. The first national title pitting 2 conference rivals, well, since the SEC did it back in 2012 when Bama defeated LSU. And Nick Saban, a perfect 11-0 against former assistants. And not just beating them, dominating them, outscoring each by a score of 427-11. We'll switch gears to college hoops. Both Mississippi State and Ole Miss picking up some big wins this weekend. Both teams looking to have a big week, keeping conference play heating up. First, the Bulldogs undefeated, a perfect 17-0. Egg Bowl hoops this week, or I should say this week, Thursday, against Ole Miss. Then Bulldogs, home games against Alabama and Florida, and sandwiched between them a huge matchup between undefeated Tennessee. And look at Ole Miss, an absolute grind for the Rebels. They have number 4 Mississippi State coming up on Thursday, then number 12 Missouri, who just defeated South Carolina, and then in 2 weeks, they'll take on Tennessee before playing Mississippi State yet again. So a grind for Mississippi State and Ole Miss. We'll be talking more about the men's side coming up at 10 right here on WCDI Sports. The last review forecast coming up next.
Happy birthday, dear Elvis.
Hundreds of guests sing happy birthday to Tupelo's most famous son on what would have been his 83rd birthday. The Elvis Presley Birthplace and Museum hosted the annual birthday party, complete with cake, singing, and, of course, peanut butter and banana macaroons.
It's just a way for people to really get a look into Elvis's life, the Delta excursion, to be able to see what music did to influence him, and to be able to come to Tupelo and get a little piece of that. Because what I always say is, what happened in Memphis started in Tupelo, and Tupelo is really a place that all Elvis fans should visit.
Tom Brown hosts Gates of Graceland, which takes viewers behind the scenes of Elvis's Memphis mansion.
Well, a bit wet, gloomy, rainy in Tupelo today for that celebration. Obviously, they were indoors. We should be in the 50s tomorrow, low 60s Wednesday, 67 Thursday. Colder, though, by the weekend.
Bama or Georgia? Who you got?
I'm indifferent. Neutral.
Bama.
Hope your team wins.